Hi again, it's Kelsey here. Thank you so much for joining the Vision Board Party. It was great to see you. Great to meet so many new people. It's so much fun to kick off the new year in community like that. I always think these sorts of things are better done together, just to take the vibes from each other and knowing that we're not alone when it comes to wanting to think big and bold and bring new energy into our year. So thank you for being there in person. It was great to have you. And thank you for your flexibility. I know we didn't get to our mini lesson around how to use visioning as an effective management tool. So we're going to do that here. And I just didn't want to rush through it. So this is an important piece to the puzzle. Like I said, kind of bringing these more holistic practices that are often tagged as woo-woo or fluffy into the workplace is my jam. It's what I love to do. I love to challenge the status quo, and I love to create people-centered teams and healthy workplaces. And this is part of that. Visioning is part of that. Visioning is often the beginning of that process. So go ahead. I included the link in the email of the PDF, and I'm essentially just going to walk and talk you through it. Just to bring it to life. And of course, if you have any questions or additions, I would love to hear from you. So our guiding question for this mini lesson is, what is visioning and how can we use it as a management tool? So I always like to ground myself in a quote or an idea or data. And this quote just stops me in my tracks every time. When people don't get what they want from life, usually it's because they don't know what they want. When people don't get what they want from life, usually it's because they don't know what they want. So what is the definition of vision? It's the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom without attachment to outcomes. Can sound a little counterintuitive, but I love breaking this down. So the ability to think about or plan the future. So the future, something that hasn't happened yet, with imagination. We have to be willing to think outside the box because it hasn't happened, right? So we have to bring this imagination, and we can pair it with wisdom, things that have happened in the past, our knowledge of how the world works, a knowledge of how our companies work, etc. Without attachment to outcomes is a piece that's this is like where the practice of visioning comes in, of that it's this guiding direction of where we want to be headed, knowing that what's meant for us will come into our space and what's not meant for us won't come into our space at any given time. And so it's this willingness to do the visioning practice, knowing we might not check everything off our list. But as you talk to people, this is a little bit of a side note, but if you look at different definitions of success, often people talk about the process over the product. Once they have the $1 million house, once they have the car, once they have the beach house, those things aren't the exciting things, aren't the things that bring them happiness and fulfillment. It's the process of getting there. It's the journey. And so really leaning into visioning as this part of our journey, this important practice on our journey. And why do we need to do this at work? Here's the next part. 3 reasons why visioning is an effective management tool. Number 1, visions are an essential part of the innovation process. So we want to have innovative companies. We want to be thinking ahead of the curve. It would be awesome if our companies were setting the stage for how our industry operates instead of following everyone else. And space to think beyond the obvious is how that comes to be. So coming up with new ideas, thinking about new ways to engage your audience, thinking about new ways to work together as a team, that happens with dedicated time to innovation. It keeps our businesses and our teams fresh. It keeps us out of the rut, if you will. Number 2, the second reason why visioning is an effective management tool is because visions align and inspire. So they allow us to align our work, our family, our travel interests with our priorities. Otherwise, we end up living other people's visions. I am guilty of this, trying to live my mom's vision, trying to live my boss's vision, trying to live my husband's vision. But what do I really want? It's a hard question to ask. We talked about how vision can be a little scary at times because it's really turning inward and saying, what do I want? I can start to claim that. And visions are inspiring. When you hear people talk about their mission for changing the world, or for running a marathon, or for doing yoga, 3 days a week, or for cooking new types of meals, like when you hear people sharing their visions, whether they know they're sharing them or not, like it's inspiring because they're pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, and you want to do the same. So, as leaders, as managers, we want to share our visions regularly. It creates a connection and a bond amongst your team members, and it builds engagement and buy-in. If they know the vision of the company, if they know where you want your team to be headed, if they're, and even better, co-creating a vision of where the team is headed, that is inspiring, and that builds the buy-in. Additionally, hearing your team members' visions helps you as a manager align their roles and responsibilities and professional development opportunities accordingly. If you never asked and you didn't know that this person is actually curious about marketing or curious about investment opportunities, you wouldn't know to say, oh, I'm actually going to this workshop. Would you like to go? Or, hey, I'm reading this book about X, Y, and Z. I think you would really enjoy it. Those moments of connection and hearing them and supporting their journey increases buy-in tenfold. So you being in touch with your team members' visions, so important. Finally, and I think one of the most important things is that visions reduce burnout. It's a bold statement, but I'm here to make these bold statements because I believe in them, and I'm a product of the work. I have burned out many times in my career. It's kind of my natural state is to just sprint. And so I have to almost trick myself to slow down. Hence why I even put a vision board party as part of my practice, as part of my management practice, because it reminds me this is time to slow down, pause, get off your hamster wheel, and think about our newest version of our vision. Think about what actions are no longer serving us. Think about how we want to move forward. When we think big and reset, when we pause our habits, that prevents burnout. It allows us to reset. It gives us this invitation to no longer do things. And so visioning has that power. It has that power to get us off the hamster wheel. And I hope you start to experience that as you integrate visioning. So the last piece of this mini lesson is a few different ideas for how to integrate visioning into your management systems. I think of visioning as any time we're beginning a new process. Have we visioned around this yet? It's kind of my checklist. So visions happen towards the beginning of new processes. So a few examples of that are your annual strategic plan. If your company does an annual strategic plan, amazing. If you're not, you can do one with your team. I have done that with my team, and then it starts to catch on across the organization. All of a sudden, other departments are like, wait, can you show us how to do an annual strategic plan? So an annual strategic plan is hugely important for aligning, and it encompasses a few different workshops within the planning process. And the first workshop is visioning. It's there for a reason. Yeah, we need to think outside our comfort zone, all the reasons above, to innovate, to reduce burnout, to align, and to inspire. So most strategic conversations start with visioning. Also, if you have a new project or a new product, you're going to start a new service line, visioning around that. What is our biggest, boldest version of this? Why are we interested in this? How is this going to serve our audience better? How is this going to bring our team together more effectively? How are we going to create a healthier culture by doing this? Like spending time to allow people to vision, what does this look like when it's at its best version of self, whether that's a product or a project or even a policy. I'm going to add that to the one pager. I think a new policy is a great conversation to do there too. And then if you have a new hire or you're looking to add a new department, add a new role on your team, get people together to vision around what that role, what that department, what that new hire can do for you as a team, as an organization. Builds that momentum, builds that engagement early, and then you can take that into drafting the job description and attracting the right type of people, or building out the department in a way that it supports the other departments instead of building it out in a silo, without this big picture abundant thinking. So these are just a few examples. I would love to hear from you how else you would use visioning in your management systems. But I really, as you can tell, visioning is a very important superpower as managers, and it can be hard to bring into conversations if those around you aren't talking about vision. So if your boss isn't talking about vision, if your clients don't talk about vision, it can be a little uncomfortable to be the one to introduce it. But that's why we're here. All of us are kind of these bold movement makers, we're change makers, advocates for doing things differently. And so I just want to give you the confidence that go ahead and try it. Try it with a small group first. Try it with yourself. Try it with a colleague that you're comfortable with, and just have some fun around visioning. I'm also going to link a visioning kind of worksheet with additional reflection questions. And so you could kind of pick and choose those different questions to use in the workplace as well. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this mini lesson, and we will talk to you so soon. Bye.